Okay, time now is 8:54 a.m. on October 7th. 8th, yeah. 9, yeah. I slept from 4:15 to 8:45, another 4.5 hours. Yeah. I cannot sleep at 3. I cannot, for the life of me, go to bed earlier. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh my god. Harley and others are probably at Universal Prop House right now as we speak. And, yeah, wish them luck. Yeah. At least I know this weekend I'm free, and I don't have to wake up early, etc. Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
咁塞咗喺邊嘅？張米線好少張佢。
係啊。
去咗邊先？
講呢個
吹啦。
Hi. D8G61 and D7. I Okay, time now is 12:04 after midnight. I'm going to try my extreme best to go to bed as early as I can. I'm aiming for 2 a.m. Honestly, when I sat on my chair, I almost fell asleep. So, yes, you can tell the state I am in right now. It's kind of crazy. We're basically halfway through the semester, and I still haven't fixed my sleep schedule. Or next week would be the halfway point, I guess. But anyways, yeah, I today is bizarre. Today is bizarre to say the least because today is technically a film set day, and usually a film set day is not a normal day at all. And today is not normal, yes. But also, it doesn't feel like a film set day. It just feels like I'm walking around, zooming around, fooling around. So I woke up and after maybe 4.5 hours of sleep, and I had a slice of the Honeycrisp apple pie. The unfortunate thing is, 2 nights ago, I found out that there's mold on the pie. Very fresh, beautiful blue mold. And because I don't like wasting food, I just cut out the mold with my knife and then just popped it in the fridge, and hopefully all the mold is gone. And then today I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll eat a slice of that pie. And, it's fucking crazy that I'm going to film set and I decided to eat a potentially moldy pie. But that's what I did. I oven baked it for 4 minutes, I took it out, and the pie is still cold. I ate half of it and I already wanted to throw up because I had no appetite whatsoever. But anyways, because of time constraints, I was only able to eat half of it, and then I had to rush out to the film set, to stage 2 at USC, which is all too familiar. At this point, I've been, aside from stage 4, I think I've been in 1, 2, and 3 many times already. But yeah, I rushed over to stage 2, and I saw that the entire crew is already there. And the crew is rather small. It's a pretty small crew of like maybe 8 or 9 people. And I don't know anyone other than Anna. But yeah, and the flats were already up. These 3 giant flats painted yellowish white, and yeah, they're all standing up. And so all we really did is paint finishing touches and then remove the paper at the bottom of the flats. Yeah. Yeah, the whole paper thing, like, first of all, I know they're all, like, more senior than me, but I'm probably older than all of them, or half of them, I don't know. But putting paper under the flats is definitely a very unnecessary step. I think you can put a tarp under it, but laying out the paper and then taping it and all that stuff, it's not really necessary in my opinion. And then that's also when I started to have uncomfortable stomach. It wasn't exactly a stomach ache. It was just like something feels weird. It feels like something's like, it feels bloated, but also it feels like I swallowed a bunch of rocks, and these rocks are poking out of my belly. It's like forcing out, which is very graphic, but that's how it felt. And then I sat down, I rested, and then the pain gradually gets worse and worse. And at some point, I'm starting to really think, holy shit, I need to go back home and go to the bathroom. So, I did help with the paint, I did help with some other stuff, but at some point, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna have to head out. So, yeah, I just sat down, and it's so chill, it's so idle today. Like, a lot of us are just standing around not doing much. The plan was, the call time was like 10 a.m. and then lunch at 12, which is fucking crazy. And then after that, they're gonna start shooting all the exteriors, and then they wrap at 6 p.m., which is, again, fucking insane. Insanely chill for the first day. And by then, I don't even need to be there. The funny thing is, the producer, Leia, she went out to get the food, and she's gone for a while because of traffic. So the lunch was pushed till 12:30, and so for like a whole hour, I was just sitting around looking at my phone, not doing much. But yeah. So that's mainly that. And then Anna Iwasawa came up to me and was like, um, are you gonna go? And or like, are you gonna stay for lunch? And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna stay for lunch, because I really wanted to go home. Besides, if I eat lunch, it's just gonna make my stomach ache worse. I drank some water and I ate a candy. It just made it worse. So, at the end, we moved out to the SCA courtyard. It's really empty and quiet, and I love that. And then I thought, you know what? Right, I can just grab some lunch for takeout to go. Because I honestly don't think I deserve the lunch because I feel like I didn't do much anyways. But she's like, no, just have some lunch. And I'm like, fine. So there's these takeout boxes. They're supposed to be props, but I just took one to get it for takeout. So I did that, and I was literally looking at my phone, the transit app, to see when the bus is coming, to make sure I don't miss the bus. And it's so suspenseful because it's like 5 minutes until the bus arrives, and it's like now they're looking for eating utensils, and then I wait for them, and then they bring the food out, and then now they're unwrapping the food, and then it's like 3 minutes left, or like 2 minutes left, and then after that, they're like, okay, actors eat first. And I'm like, oh, but the bus is coming. And they're like, okay, well, today's an exception, but I still let the actor eat first. And then she took a bite, and then they're like, okay, actor ate already. Everyone else get food. And then I start grabbing food, and then it's like 1 minute left. And then I grabbed the food. I was like, okay, thank you, bye. And I rush. By the way, stomachache still happening. I rushed over to the bus stop. And while I was rushing over to the bus stop, my right hand is holding a box of food. Harley calls me, or I think Ethan Kwan calls me. So left hand holding my phone, and I'm on a phone while running, while having stomachache, while chasing after a bus. And then I was 2 seconds away from being able to hop onto the bus, but the bus literally ran right past me. And then I'm like, fuck, great. So I walk back home. I finished the phone call. I walk back home really fast with a huge stomachache. At noon, walk back home. I arrived home, I went to the bathroom, I had lunch. Honestly, I kind of wish that for the rest of the day I could just sleep and not care. But things are complicated, so there's the whole so Ethan's film was called Toxic, so I'm gonna call this the Toxic Chicanery, the shenanigans. So the original plan was at 7:30 a.m. Harley is going to get picked up by Ethan Kwan, and Harley and Ethan will be in a U-Haul truck together on their merry way to the Universal Studio Prop House. And then the other two trio mates, their names are Sienna and Tess. They were going to join in. So 4 of them at the Prop House, and then at the same time, me and Jacob would join afternoon. That's the original plan. The plan has gone through some changes last night. So now it is likely that me and Jacob will go our separate ways. We'll head over to Chinatown and get a bunch of small props over there. So like calendars, posters, whatnot. And also the costume, maybe. Things changed even further because at 9 p.m. I texted Harley. I was like, hey, how's the props going? And she's like, I'm not even there yet. I'm like, what? So, yeah, apparently, first of all, the two trio mates, they decided not to go with Harley and Ethan. So it's just Harley and Ethan, just the two of them, which is still fine, not the end of the world. They arrived at Universal Prop at like 10. And then a bunch of crazy, unfortunate shit happens. They found the props they want, but A, all of them are really expensive. B, all the paperwork is taking forever. They ask for a quote, like the money, the cost, from the prop house, and then they send the quote over to one of the trio mates, the producer, Tess, and then she has to take that and walk over to the SPO, or the whatever production office, and then turns out the woman at the office is having a meeting, so now she has to wait, and then it's 3:15, and then they have to leave. Apparently 3 p.m. is like the last possible time a student can leave the Universal Prop House. Any later than that is like a violation or something. But they left later anyways, and they were like running, like it was just really complicated. So at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., I'm like chilling in my room eating my Korean food for lunch, which is quite nice actually. Not a lot of meat, but it was satisfying. So, god damn my hair. So I genuinely don't know what to do next. I guess we'll see. Jacob has a car. He can pick me up here. We'll head over to Chinatown and we'll head to the film location. Easy peasy. Well, things are complicated because I called Jacob and Jacob's like, I don't have a car. And I'm just like, okay, well, great. So, I told Ethan that, and Ethan's like, I don't know either. Like, at this point, I can't really rely on them. I can't really rely on anyone because no one has a clue what's going on. And everyone's just trying to save themselves. It's such a mess. So, at that point, it's like, Ethan told Harley, and Harley told Jacob that we can just Uber and they'll reimburse us. Which is crazy because we're already going over budget. So, the plan was I'm going to Uber over to Jacob's place, and then we'll take the metro to Chinatown. Why not? It'll take some time, but you know what? It'll work out. So I did that, but Jacob's eating lunch at Gateway, near Gateway, at the pho place. So I Uber to Gateway, and then turns out Jacob isn't there, and then he's waiting for me at the metro. So I went to the metro, met up with him, and by then it was already nearly 3 p.m. So at the same time, we have another time crunch, and that is we're able to visit the film location from 3 to 6 p.m. So that's another time crunch. It's like we need to get to the location before 6 p.m. to set dress and offload the stuff. So it's fine. We have 3 hours. It should be fine, but it ended up being more complicated than that. Yeah, me and Jacob, we headed over to Chinatown, and I walked from store to store, and it was very interesting. I've been to Chinatown many times. I think it's been a few months since I've been, but it's an interesting place. And I went to a couple of stores in the heart of Chinatown, and they're like souvenir stores. They sell lanterns and some paintings, etc. And you can tell no one ever visits these stores. So I went in, and the store owner is this like middle-aged guy, and he's like, hi, how may I help you? And then I said something in English, and I realized, you know what, I might as well switch into Cantonese because he looks like he can speak Cantonese. So I was like, Cantonese? And he's like, yeah. So I smoothly transitioned to pure Cantonese. I think I've done these like weird transitions so many times already, so I'm like used to it. Yeah, we started talking in Cantonese, and he became 100 times friendlier in Cantonese. And I ended up buying a couple stuff from him, paid $10 in cash, and got a few cents back. And then I went to another store, and there's an old woman, and again, the moment I start speaking Cantonese, she becomes 200 times friendlier, and she starts joking around. Not even joking around, just in a clumsy way. Oh, where's my phone? Oh, well, I have this. I can just give it to you for free. It's broken anyways, you know. So for $10, I got a bunch of shit. Originally, it was $10 for one poster, and she doesn't even know if it's for sale or not. She finds it, and she's like, yeah, who cares? I'm just going to sell it to you. I don't know if the other guy's not picking up his phone, so who cares? And then she starts picking out like these small pieces of decoration, like these papers and like a broken calendar, and she's like, you know what, you can have it, it's broken, I'll give it to you for free. So at the end, for $10, I got a bunch of stuff. And yeah, after that, we went back to the middle-aged man, the Hong Kong import store, and I got, like, he gave me an empty metal box for free. So it's, you know what, being able to speak Cantonese is quite nice. And he asked me where do I live in Hong Kong, and I was like, Saiwan Ho, and he's like, Chim Sa Choi. It's just so interesting, even though I seem like a foreigner in Hong Kong. Like, I have a tall nose, and my Cantonese isn't like purely standard, but in here it's like I'm a Hong Konger. Hell fucking yeah. So at that point, there's a new group chat with a couple other people in it. And the other people are like the trio mates, Sienna and Tess. And Sienna seems like she's coming to pick me up. She was told to come pick me up at like 3 p.m. But even though by then it was like 4 already. And then I called Sienna. Turns out she's still at USC. And she's like, oh, it's going to take me half an hour to come to Chinatown. But I'm going to come. So we had half an hour to kill. So we wanted to buy a drink. Me and Jacob were both super thirsty. We went to a boba store. It's too expensive. He was going to buy and then he gave up. And I was going to buy and then I gave up. And he went to another store and bought a can of Fanta for $1.80 and it tasted like shit. He drank a sip and then he threw it away. And I didn't buy anything, so I remained thirsty. But yeah, half an hour later, Sienna arrives in her car, drove me and Jacob. I've never seen Sienna before. She's like a half Korean, half white girl. And she's the fourth half Korean, half white person I've ever met. First being Colin, second being Catherine, I believe is her name, in the ABCA web series shoot, and then Tyler Lee, the art PA, who's also coming to this set, by the way, so hilarious. I might have missed a couple. But yeah, we talked and we went over to that basement, the pit basement. And by then it was 5:45 p.m. 5:45, so 15 minutes until we have to get our asses out. And then Harley and Ethan arrives in their U-Haul. They went to both Universal and A1 Props. The interesting thing is, we did not have costumes. We do not have costumes because neither of us have time and all of the costume stores are already closed. And Hollywood is far away. So we're getting it tomorrow morning, or at least Harley is going to get it tomorrow morning. The fucking costumes. So we load in all of our stuff and we looked at the place and we did a little production meeting. The producer isn't even there. And then we left. And then Sienna drove me to a Target so that I could buy some command hooks and command strips. And I also wanted to go to Home Depot to buy a tarp and use that tarp as a sort of curtain drape. And then at the end, it's like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just find a drape in Target and call it a day. Yeah. So there is that. And we just did that. And then Jacob went with Harley and also Kate Xiao, the other Asian girl. And they went over to someone's birthday party and Ethan drove the U-Haul truck to somewhere. And then yada yada, day's over. And then I asked Sienna to drive me to Trader Joe's, and by then it was like 7:30 p.m. maybe. And then I went to Trader Joe's, bought a bunch of stuff, went back home, offload the Trader Joe's, offload. And then I usually cook, but today I'm fucked. I'm so hungry, I'm so tired. And I don't know why, but like ever since the morning all day I've been thinking about, or not all day, but like occasionally I'm thinking about eating outside because I just want to eat outside. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll go to Ono Hawaiian BBQ, buy dinner, come back home, and that's the dinner. And, you know, lots of meat, lots of rice, and I need that. I need lots of meat and lots of rice. So I ate that up, and I also cooked the chicken wings, but didn't eat it, just cooked them before they get spoiled. Or I could cook them tomorrow night, but if I cook it tomorrow night, it might be a little too late, and the chicken might start rotting. Yeah, so there's that. Just finished editing college update video, and not much else. I think beyond that, I also spoke with Cliff a little bit. Cliff, last night, I believe, suddenly texted me asking me, am I at Lone Pine? And I'm like, oh, the IMAX workshop? Unfortunately not. But turns out Cliff is there, and now I low-key wish that I am there. But Cliff just arrived, and turns out nothing is set up. There are no IMAX cameras yet. But yeah. But I don't regret this decision to not go to the IMAX workshop. I feel like since I'm not a dedicated DP, I'm more of a PD person, this wouldn't make sense. And again, I'm too exhausted. I don't have the time and effort and money to go out and buy all these tents and prep myself for camping. I already went to Cannes, and I think that's already a big trip. I don't need another big trip. or small trip or any trip. I went to Cannes and Tokyo and Beijing, and it's already enough. Like, I'm not going to any fucking national parks. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. Not much else. Tomorrow, film set day. It's interesting now that I'm kind of being PD. Like, I do the script breakdown and I source the props, etc. Kind of interesting because I feel like once I do it, I just do it. It's kind of scary being PD, but like, I just have to do it, you know. Whereas if I'm a set dresser and I'm following the PD's orders, I'm just like following orders. But now it's, what the fuck am I saying? Now, as a PD, I would do things that I'm like, the PD's doing should do this, and I'm like, no wait, that's me, so I should do it. So, yeah. Okay. I'm also doing the laundry at the same fucking time because why not? So, yeah. So I'm gonna do that. Yay. Okay. Time now is 7:51 a.m. in the morning on October 10th. Yeah. I slept from 2 yeah, like about 2:15, and woke up at 7:50. Honestly, not bad. I have broken the 4 a.m. curse. I went to bed quite early, which I'm pretty proud of, even though that meant I couldn't finish a lot of other stuff. I wanted to really finish the script for my 480, and every single day I cannot fucking do it. But yeah, hopefully today's the day. But yeah, finally I slept for more than 4 hours, but I'm still tired. So tomorrow, hopefully I get to sleep all day. Unless Giant sees me tomorrow. Yeah, so today is gonna be Ethan's 310, and I'm going to be a bit of a PD, so I need to arrive and start commanding people to do things, so that's that. And then if we wrap early enough, I would like them to drive me to Min's house, because his short film is having a bit of a premiere, and I have promised him that I would be there, so I want to be there. Yeah. Yesterday I actually asked Audrey the Asian girl, if she's down to watch one battle after another this weekend. And at like 1 a.m. she responded saying, like, I'm just too busy. And then she started telling me what is she exactly doing on like Saturday and Sunday, and she's got a lot on her plate. Just like visiting different places. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, also, Ethan, this desk lamp works. Where do you want to put it? Do you want to use it as like a nightlight?
That's huge.
You also BTS.
Yeah, no, I'm just filming stuff.
This is the
Ooh, there we go. Goofy. I like that we see him though, his clothes and everything.
Huh?
I like.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Actually, you need to see that. So basically. And action.
Look back at him.
Okay, so when you see him, don't like pause on him, but then go to the fan or where the fan is
Does that fix
supposed to
it?
be, and because the. All right, that's a wrap.
Okay.
Yay!
I need to drop off this equipment back to DFI, then return it again, and then pick it up on Wednesday again to go return the furniture. And then
Get serious now. Alright. Thank you.
Okay, time now is 2:34 a.m. in the morning. My hair is insane. I love it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna talk about today. It is quite a long day. I woke up after about 5.5 hours of sleep, which is a lot considering that today is film set day, but I managed to have enough discipline to go to bed at 2:15. And so I woke up, and though I still felt really sleepy and tired in the morning, I was rather. I don't feel that bad. And I had some pumpkin bread, and then I took off. And Sienna came to my place at around 8:30, but I didn't leave until 8:40 something, because I was busy grabbing small bits of props. Which is great, thank God I did that, because we were basically running out of props, or not props, of set dressing. So yeah, I went down in the car, Sienna picked me up, and then we went to pick up Ethan Kwan, except, as it turns out, Ethan Kwan has this very elaborate plan, where she picks up Ethan Kwan and drives him to Kate Xiao's home, where across the street the U-Haul van is parked. And then Ethan Kwan gets into the U-Haul van and transfers a bunch of equipment, like a bunch of camera stuff and like stands, from Sienna's car to the U-Haul van. So yes, we went to Ethan Kwan's place. Ethan brought a bunch of stuff into Sienna's car, and then from Sienna's car brought into the van, drove the van to the USC Village, and then while he did that, we picked up Jacob. And Jacob's like, what? I thought Ethan's here. And turns out Ethan's in the van. And then we went to the village to pick Ethan up again for the second time. Except to do that, Ethan must hand the van off to another crew member. And so the crew member messed up and went to the wrong location, and then we had to wait 5 more minutes to wait for that crew member to arrive so that Ethan can give him the van, so that Ethan would join us back in Sienna's car, while the crew member would drive the van to DFI, the rental house, to grab more equipment. Extremely elaborate plan, which Sienna had no idea about, and set us back maybe 20 minutes or half an hour. God damn, my hair is amazing. So that set us back for a while, and then we finally arrived on set at around 10 a.m., even though the call time is 9. So we're already an hour late. We arrived, and I started set dressing, and by then Harley isn't here. Harley and Kate are on their own, and they're going to Hollywood to buy uniform, and then afterwards they went to Target to buy some more stuff. And that was when, around 11 a.m. ish, I started dressing the room. So I was pretty much the PD in that situation. I told people to do things, and it's not the first time I told people to do things. I think on Starman I did that a couple times too, but I was actually telling people to do things now, and it was kind of weird because I'm so used to doing everything by myself. But I started asking people to help me and move things, but it wasn't that complicated. We're in this very shitty, dusty basement. We need to move a bunch of stuff out and then move a bed in, and the bed is disgusting. It's stained, it's gross, and then after that there's a bunch of set dressing, using a drape, hanging a drape over a wall to hide a little compartment, which is such a PD thing to do. It's such a PD thing. Oh, we're just gonna put up this drape, this piece of fabric to hide something, you know. It's such a PD moment, you know. It just feels very PD doing that. So I got some command hooks, and I've only used command hooks maybe twice. Every time I touch a piece of like PD item, like whether it is like command hook, command strip, tape, a paintbrush, whatever, I always get flashbacks to every single set in the last 2 years where I'm in the art department. And I'm just trying to like search through my memory how I used it before. So I was like not 100% sure how a command hook works, but it's really simple. Just put a tape in the back and then hook it, and it's really fucking strong. So we did that for the drape, it worked wonders. And then we pushed the bed, it was fine. And then I assembled some set dressing, some tables here, some nightstands there, and then a little bit of my own stuff. And then boom, easy peasy, and the set is dressed. I just wanted a tank top and a little towel, so I asked Harley to buy them. So we got them, and by the time Harley arrived, it was like 1 p.m. And we're still waiting on the DFI rentals. For some reason, they're stuck in traffic or something, so literally the fucking camera equipment isn't even here yet. So we waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. And then camera finally arrived, like camera and G&E stuff finally arrived at around 1 something p.m. And then at 2:30 p.m. we broke for lunch. Haven't shot a single thing. We were supposed to start shooting at 11, so fine. So at this moment the PD is over, and it was pretty chill for the most part, but I still had to make some adjustments on set because things keep moving around. So it was chill, but it wasn't as chill as Starman, when I basically had nothing to do for the whole day. But yeah, lunch was fine. It was a Jersey Mike's sandwich, and it was mid. It was kind of small sandwich. And then anyways, also Tyler Lee is here. Tyler Lee, whom I worked with pretty briefly on Starman. So anyways, at 5:30 p.m. So at 3 p.m. we finished lunch, and then for 2.5 hours they were figuring out the lighting and the cinematography. And Ethan was so particular about it. It's crazy. And then at 5:30 we finally started our first shot. We were supposed to start shooting at 11. We didn't start until 5:30 fucking p.m. 6.5 hour delay. We are 6.5 hours behind schedule. And I know this 310 plays into the weakness of all 3 of the trio mates. Like, Ethan is a good DP but not a good director. Tess Spellman is a good director but not a good producer. And Sienna Barker is a good producer but not a good DP. And all 3 of them are kind of in a bad situation. So what happens is Tess is not doing a great job producing. He's not telling people to do things. And then Ethan's not good at directing actors. Not very good. And obviously Sienna is not very well versed with the camera, so Ethan's basically coaching her. Yeah. And then finally the first shot is up, and I think they filmed about 5 shots, and then it's already 6:20, and we had to wrap. So at 6:20 we wrapped, which is a relief. It's a relief because I know we're not going to go overtime, because apparently this location is really strict. If you go overtime, you're going to be fucked. You're going to have to pay. So at 6:20, I rapped really fast. Everyone just started helping rap Jenny and camera, and no one's helping art department other than this Indian American girl, this Desi girl, Punjabi. Her name is Reva, and also she has a friend who is American, but first generation Tonga American. It's really interesting, Pacific Islander. But I thought she's black, and she said, "Yeah, I've gotten black, Latina, I've gotten all of these things." Like, that's hilarious. But yeah, so I rapped, and then at some point Jacob just disappeared. At around 4 p.m., Jacob's just gone, and we have no idea where he went. But it was kind of a disaster. Like, obviously, it wasn't that stressful as Starman, for some reason, despite me being on a higher level in like more of a PD. It wasn't as stressful as Starman. Maybe it's because I think all the other departments are doing just as bad, if not worse. And Harley, we're both very calm about it, but neither of us were enjoying it because we know we're running out of time and we don't even have the budget or the time to make better PD. But I think with the lighting, it looked fine, and the hanging tank top and the towel made it look better, like way better than I thought it would. So, yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So, we wrapped, and then we brought a bunch of stuff outside onto the side of the street, and we still stayed at the side of the street for like 40 minutes, from 7 p.m. to 7:30 or 7:40, just sorting stuff out, moving things very slowly into the van. We're so fucking slow. I was beginning to be a little irritated. I was like, okay, now let's move this, let's move on. And that's when I realized I might be the oldest person in the entire set. But yeah. So Sienna drove me from set to Min's place because Min's film is playing and I wanted to see it. And I thought it's like the same place as, or like at least near USC. As it turns out, it's like between Koreatown and Silver Lake, which is so fucking far. But it's a pretty nice, grand place, somebody's backyard, and a lot of people were there. Matt was there, Gary was there, Asir, Tiger, Emma, Arjun, and a couple of other people I recognize, and also Professor, the Romanian professor who taught me in the animation class like 2 semesters ago. And I was super surprised to see him. At first I was like, is that him? And I'm like, oh my god, it is him. What the fuck? Yeah. That was weird. So, yeah, I saw the film and I was really hungry and tired and coated with dust and dirt from set. And I was carrying 2 messy, gross plastic bags of Target bags of like set dressing with my black cloth bag. And so I was clumsy and I put it at the side. Thank God there's pizza and beer. So I had pizza, but beer ran out, so I had a seltzer, and Arjun paid for me because he's nice. And I felt a little dizzy. I feel like it's because I drank some alcohol on an empty stomach, or maybe I'm just tired. I don't know. Every time I drink alcohol and feel tired, I always think it's just because of my exhaustion and not because I'm drunk. Because you can't get drunk on seltzer. It's impossible. I've never gotten drunk on seltzer. In fact, if I'm drunk on seltzer, I should be drunk now. Right? I don't know. Anyways, we watched the film, and there were a couple moments where I almost dozed off, but it was so slightly, I was still widely awake. And yeah, the film's over. It's great. I hugged Min, and yeah, I talked with everyone a little bit, and then I was like, I gotta talk to the professor. So I went up to him, and I think he kind of recognized me, but he has forgot my name, etc. So I was like, hey, I was in your class 2 semesters ago. At that point, I really wanted to pee, but I endured it. And for the entire conversation, the professor's just yapping about how much he dislikes USC. Or like at least complaining about USC, like the faculty stuff, the previous president of USC wanting to withhold a house that was given to her by USC, and also the professor, the, you know, rich millionaires and billionaires, reputation laundering, and all that stuff. But yeah, it was really nice. And then, yeah, it's just nice talking to Arjun and Emma. So that's also great because Arjun drives, and now I have a ride home. So they also drove Garrett and another guy, and all 5 of us. I just realized I'm the only like Asian person there. I mean, Arjun's half Indian, but yeah, we were in the car and they drove us all home, and yeah, and then by the time I got home it was 11 p.m. and I took a shower and then I had dinner and I did nothing. I'm just too tired. Jiren texted me, so I asked Jiren, so what's the plan? And Jiren's like, yeah, tomorrow morning. And then Jiren later told me, oh, actually tomorrow I'm going to Universal Studios, but only at night, which means we have all afternoon. And I'm like, great, when and where do you want to meet? And the answer is a question. She just asked me, well, then where do you want to meet? Where do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know any good spots. Genuinely, if this is Hong Kong, everywhere is a good spot. This is USC, nowhere is a good spot. I'd say the Grove is a safe spot, but it's dumb. The 2 interesting spots I know is Koreatown and downtown LA, like the Mexican area, like Fashion District. But of course I'm not going there. I think Koreatown makes sense, but it's not a place where you get to walk around and stuff. But I like Koreatown Plaza. So genuinely, tomorrow I'm just thinking of doing light. If I could see Jiren for lunch and then walk around, or take her to my place, it would be nice. But honestly, in all honesty, if Jiren clearly doesn't have a boyfriend now, I would have taken this seriously. I would have been like, okay, you know what, let's plan a date. Let's go to somewhere fun. But of course, now, if I do end up meeting Jiren tomorrow, which by the way, no concrete answers, Jiren's suddenly gonna go, oh, actually, never mind. No concrete answers. Not for sure. But it's likely that I'll see her tomorrow, and if I do, my goal would be to tell her my feelings. Which is not easy, considering the consequences. But also because Jiren's genuinely nice to me, which makes it worse, actually. If Jiren's a dick to me, if I cut her off, I don't feel that bad, but she's not a dick. She can be cold sometimes, but she's not a dick. So I don't know, I don't even know when to wake up to see her. I want to wake up at 11. I'm going to try to do that. And yeah, originally I wanted to finish Helter Skelter, the film, but it's like 2:50 already. I want to go to bed. So I will go to bed. I will watch that film tomorrow. Like, who cares? Yeah, that's pretty much it. And, yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to watch a movie with Audrey. Again, this feels really wrong. I feel like this is vengeance for what Jiren did to me. But I don't fucking know anymore. I just want to hang out with people. So yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, I guess I should add some more details to my conversation with the Romanian professor. My brain was kind of deep fried, and I'm playing with a command strip on my right hand, fidgeting with it, which is weird. But yeah, I was like trying to be friendly with him. I was like, how many have you been to the sub club meetings before? And he's like, no. And he asked me what screenings I've been to, and I talked about him. And then he's like, wow, this is great, sub club where the cinephiles kind of come together, like this culture. And I just, like, out of my mind, not a lot of thinking, I was like, yeah, I feel like half of Cam's major aren't even cinephiles. And then he's like, you're not entirely wrong, but I do think that there's a broad spectrum of media, because we're cinema and media studies, and there's media beyond cinema, like games and music and social media. And he all talked about the importance of that as well, which is a good answer. Now I don't know why I said that, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, still thinking about what to say to Jayan if we meet. It's probably gonna be about my script. Oh, I wrote 3 scenes in my script, which is a brand new breakthrough. I hope I can finish the whole script by tomorrow, honestly, the first draft, so that next week I could just send it to the professor, and then we can talk about it. And yeah, yeah. And I don't even know if I have time to finish the second script because I haven't started at all. I barely have an idea, but that one should be easier because that one's like a fuck you script, anyways. But yeah, today I did finish some scenes. I'm not super proud of them, but they're good for starters, I think. And once I rewrite them, they'll hopefully get better and better. So yeah. Okay, time now is 11:12 a.m. on October 11th, and I slept from 3:30, or like, I think, yes, 3:30, almost 3:40, actually, let's call it 3:40, 3:40 to 11:10. 7.5 hours, not bad. I feel alive, and I feel good. Oh my god, my hair. Yeah, not bad at all. My voice is deep again, so that's nice. Yeah, I could have slept earlier, but I didn't. But I sacrificed watching the film. I was supposed to finish a film, a Helter Skelter, and it would have been an hour long, but I decided not to go do that. I just went to bed. So at least I'm not going to bed at 4 a.m. again. It's a bit better than 4 a.m. But yeah, it appears I am indeed going to see Jayan. She wants to take me to a cafe in Silver Lake, which is surprising because it's very far away. Because every time I think about hanging out with someone, it's always like around USC. Because I always assume people don't want to take a bus to anywhere, but no, she's like, let's take a bus to Silver Lake. And I'm like, that's nice, because on the bus we can talk and shit. But yeah, that's that. Yeah, so I'm excited. We'll see. Again, this is so weird. It's like, yeah, I like her, and somehow this feels like dating her, but it's also not, you know? It's so complicated and intricate and unnecessarily complicated, and yeah. I woke up a little bit before the alarm rang, actually. Oh my god, I needed that sleep so bad. That was a good sleep. And tomorrow, I don't even need to wake up early. But yeah, I don't really know what to say to Jayan at this point. I don't know. It's a yes or no question, like whether I should confess or not. And either way, it seems fucked. If I don't confess, I'm just covering things up, and, you know, I am prolonging the suspense. If yes, I might destroy everything, and there's no middle ground. It's either a yes or no. And that's a very bad, like, dilemma, but I have to make this decision, right? If today goes well, if she seems understanding, then I'll say yes. If today we have a very good, personal, intimate conversation, then I'll tell her. I'll be like, yes, this is the situation I'm in. So yeah. We'll see. And then that's it for today. And then I have nothing planned tomorrow. I have nothing planned Monday, Tuesday, which is nice. I needed this rest. I really do. Okay, time now is 9:05 p.m. at night, and yeah, you know what? Let's talk. Let's have a long, nice talk. Um, so usually I film these pretty late at night, maybe around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., but today's gonna be a special occasion because I just did something I've never really done before. Maybe it's the second time I'm doing it, but it's something that I've never truly experienced before, and I would like to talk about it as soon as I can before I let it sink in even more. But today, I confessed my feelings to Jayun officially. That's what happened. So at 11:10 I woke up and I was like checking my phone, and then turns out a few minutes ago she told me, let's go to Silver Lake. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And then I had breakfast, which is some cereal, and then I, looked at YouTube, whatever. And I just asked her, like, when do you want to head out? And then no answer. And I was beginning to be a little worried, like, what if she fell asleep? What if she's suddenly busy doing something else? Okay, maybe it's not happening. But no, at around 12:30, 12:50, she was like, "Oh, sorry, I fell asleep again. Does 1:30 work?" And I'm like, "Great, it works." So great, let's meet up. And I was like, "Let's meet up at a bus stop." And she's like, "Where?" And I checked, and there's a bus stop right across the main entrance of USC. There's the bus stop, and I was like, let's meet there, and then we'll take a bus up to Silver Lake. Sure. And then, as it turns out, her roommate is taking a shower, and she can't take a shower, and then I went to the bus a little late, and then the bus had a detour. It was kind of weird. I went to the bus stop that I normally went to before this semester, except the bus stop was all, like, guarded by, like, safety cones, and I took my tap card out and I waved it. I did it like this, just in the middle of the fucking road. And the bus driver was like, and I'm like, okay, I went back to the pavement. And then the bus did a turn. It went past me and did a turn. And I chased after the bus and I got up. So the bus, instead of going directly eastward, it went south. And it did a whole loop-de-loop. It did a whole block, just going south, going east, and going back north. It did a whole loop. So it took a while, and at around 1:40 something, I finally arrived at the USC Village, and I thought she's already there waiting for me. Turns out she's not. She's at home chilling, ordering Starbucks. And so I was at the bus stop, and I just waited and waited and waited. I was strolling around under a tree, and I just listened to music, and she's nowhere near, and she didn't show up until 2:20 p.m. 2:20. So, yeah. So, yeah, it was a while. I stood there, I walked there for a while, but it was fine. I was listening to music, and I was feeling a little apprehensive. I was listening to kind of, like, fun kind of music, electronic music, Pink Panther-esque, whatever. But it was a little apprehensive because, again, I don't really know what I was going to do. I am less than an hour away from seeing Jayun, the girl I like, and I don't know what to say to her still. I don't have anything planned. And I think that's the best plan, is to not plan it. So, eventually she showed up, and she was in a dark blue polka dot shirt, a crop top, her belly showing, and also I think like a jean skirt kind of thing, or just jeans. Yeah, just jeans. Jean skirt, just jeans. And it was fine. I think I've seen her in a dark blue polka dot dress somewhere before. But there's her. I came up to her. I took off my sunglasses. She took off hers, and she's just there. And I was like, hey, hey. And for the first few minutes, she was totally distracted. She was looking around, looking away and also looking at her phone, not really completely with me. At some point, she ran into her friend who is planning to. She ran into another friend who went out drinking with her a few days ago. Where she went to a bar and several guys hit on her. Or I think she told me that this morning. I don't know. I forgot. But she went to a bar and 3 guys tried to hit on her, and then she had to lie saying that a white girl is actually her girlfriend and she's not into men. She's not into guys. Anyways, we waited for the bus. We waited and waited and waited and waited and waited, and it got so annoying. At some point, she's like, you know what, fuck it. Let's just take the metro and go to Little Tokyo. And I'm like, okay. And I thought she meant like Little Tokyo and then somehow take a bus from there to Silver Lake, but no, let's just switch destinations and go to Little Tokyo. I like the spontaneity. I was like, sure. So we walked over to the metro, and then we took a metro together. We sat together. I remember how back in secondary school, I can't even sit next to a girl. I'm like, oh, what if it's weird? To be fair, I did sit next to Bernice in Form 1, I guess. But yeah, I'm like so okay about it right now. And we sat together, and then we arrived at Little Tokyo. And our first few conversations were pretty mundane. I would say pretty nice, you know. I don't feel awkward around her. I just say whatever I want to say, honestly. I told her, one thing I told her is, she's always living in her story and I'm always living in my story. And she's like, what does that mean? And I talked about how I had a run-in with junkies on my birthday, and that's how I spent my birthday. And she's like, you're weird. And I take it as a compliment. I like being called weird. And I'm like, haha. And, yeah, and I talked about my birthday. I talked a little bit. I asked her, surprisingly, a lot of our conversation today isn't even about film. Even if it is about film, it's usually very brief and unimportant. Like, it's in the larger context of something else. And I like that. I feel like as film students, sometimes it's just we have nothing to say other than film, and it gets so boring and stale. Like, if I meet Matt, even though Matt is like the ultimate cinephile of USC, but if I see him, I don't want to talk about film. I just want to talk about anything about film, really. But it's difficult, right? But yeah, today a lot of talking with Jayon was just kind of miscellaneous and random. I just say whatever's on top of my mind. I talk about my feelings in Cannes, which is film related, yes. I talk about temples. I know she's not really listening, but I was talking about how I visited these temples, you know, before I came to LA, and how that was the last time I felt truly happy. And she's like, aw. And then she's talked to me about bars and clubs and how she likes going to bars, but she doesn't go to bars often in LA because bars in LA is like guys hitting on girls. But bars in China and Shanghai and in Asia in general is usually very nice. You go there, you relax, you take a drink. And jazz bars is really nice because there's music and people are there for the music, not for hitting on other people. And I'm like, oh, well, that's convincing. That seems nice. And then she talks about clubbing and how clubbing in China sucks, but clubbing here is more fun. And she talks about raves and how she thinks raves are great because you're with so many people, but yet you're so alone. And your mind goes blank. And how she cannot meditate because she's gonna fucking die when she meditates because her mind is so occupied with all these thoughts. And I'm like, yeah, I understand, but I do that with film. But yeah, we talked, and it's nice, you know, just getting to know each other and chatting and joking around. And then we arrived in Little Tokyo, and then it's been a while since I've been in Little Tokyo, and it's a weekend, so it's very crowded and packed and touristy. We first went to Nishiki Market because she wants to make mango sticky rice, and she wants sticky rice. And I was accompanying her, and I was talking about what food I cook, and I talked about how I know how to make braised pork belly. And yeah, it was a really nice small talk. It's like the first half of our interactions today is mostly small talk with like dashes and tinges of like seriousness in it. And I think that's like okay, in a comfortable way, because I know how fucked up she is in the inside sometimes, and she knows the fucked up parts of my life. So, but like we're all kind of okay about it, you know. And yeah, and then we went to Nishiki Market. I also bought a little stuff, little seaweed thing. I would eat a little tonight with rice, and then I and then I yeah, and then I went to okay, yeah, we went to see a couple stores. We were hungry. I was hungry, and we decided to go to the street across Little Tokyo, like the Little Tokyo main area, and then it's still a bunch of ramen stores, and there are some clothes stores as well. We went to Daikokuya. She's like, "Oh, I know this spot," and it's just Daikokuya. It's like, it's a pretty popular chain store, ramen store in LA, you know. But I'm like, sure. We looked at some clothes. We chatted a little bit. Yeah, and all at the same time, throughout the entire day today, Colin Nelson is blasting her phone. He's freaking blasting her phone and constantly calling her. So what's happening is that she's finalizing the department heads for the short film she's directing next year, called Eulogy. And originally, Colin Nelson was going to be the DP, or like at least he was considered. But the producers decided to drop him because he's just not easy to work with and he's just not great. And he was incredibly upset about it, and he started blasting, just ranting, venting at Jayun, just like paragraph after paragraph of, "Am I not good enough for you? I thought we're together. I thought we're a team, blah, 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 blah." And at first, Jayun doesn't want to tell me who it is, so Jayun's like, "Oh, this guy is, this guy is not, yeah, this guy is mad. This guy is venting at me." And I'm like, but I could kind of see who she's texting, so I can tell it's Colin. And then a little bit later, she just tells me, "Oh, it's Colin." But at that point, she doesn't know that I know that it's her boyfriend. Or like, she kind of guessed that I know. It's complicated. But yeah, it's Colin. And it's even more complicated the fact that that's her boyfriend. Or maybe ex-boyfriend. Who knows? But Colin's freaking out, and Colin felt entitled. Colin was like, "I thought I'm the DP to your writer. We're supposed to be a team." And when Jayun wrote Starman, because Colin likes space, Colin thought that Jayun wrote it for him. When in fact, Jayun just wrote it for herself. It's not related to Colin at all. But Colin likes to think that everything's about him, and Colin likes to think that she is entitled, or Colin thinks that he is entitled to her love, and Jayun's just really fed up with him. More on that later. So we went to Daikokuya, we sat down, and we ordered some ramen. I ordered spicy miso ramen, she ordered tsukemen, and I also ordered a cow piss soda drink. We just talked and talked, and again, Jayun's phone kept ringing, and it's the La La Land, the film La La Land, one of the songs, and it's the dun 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 dun, and it keeps happening again and again. And it's just so hilarious. And again, for a while, Jayun's just busy texting people, texting him, texting the producers, and Jayun starts ignoring his calls, and and then so we just talked and talked, and about halfway through the meal, we started to get serious, but so much is covered because there's so much I would like to tell her and talk to her about, and I didn't come up with like a bullet list of things to talk about, right? When I last saw Leslie in 2001: Space Odyssey, I had like a bullet point list of like things I would want to tell her, but at the end I didn't get to any of it. But with Jayun, I just didn't do that, so it's just like random. Whatever comes up in my head, I just tell her. There were moments where I really wanted to know her character, like her personality, and I talked about how she has this magical ability of making the people around her open up. and how it almost feels conniving because she shares about her own life just enough so that another person would completely share their life to her. And Giant's really surprised that I feel that way because Giant never sees herself as a conniving snake. Giant said that she's motivated by two things. She's always motivated by two things. Number one, don't get hurt. Number two, be a better person, be stronger and better. And two is more important than one. But Giant makes friends with everyone, or at least Giant tries to be there for everyone, but not essentially befriend everyone, because Giant doesn't want to make enemies, because making enemies is hurting. It's hurtful for your life and your career. So Giant is not the manipulative monster that sometimes I think she is, but for a small extension, she is trying to, curate her social circle and make sure everyone is on good terms with her. She's always there for everyone, and I asked her, "Are you there for everyone because of your kindness?" And it was such a weird question. I'm like her therapist at some point, and she's like my therapist at some point. And she's like, "Yes, I'm genuinely kind." And then we pause a little bit, and she's like, "Well, it's also for pride, because I want everyone to be on good terms with me, and I want everyone to see the best of me." And that's a really real fucking answer, and I really appreciated that she was honest about it. She's like, "Yeah, it's because of pride. It's kindness, but also it's because of pride." And I'm like, "That's real. That seems really human." But yeah, eventually I started talking about what happened. I was leading up a very long conversation leading up to my confession to her. And again, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not looking at my timer. I don't have a timer, so I don't know how long it went. But it probably went really long. But it started with near the tail end of our meal. I started talking about how tough my first 2 weeks were in USC, and I was like, partially it's because of you. You were very accomplished. You got the job, you got internship, you got eulogy, and you made me feel like shit. I feel inferior to you. And I mentioned my mom and my dad's relationship and how my dad feels inferior to my mom and how that kind of forms a parallel. And she's like, "Oh, well, don't feel that way because I'm also just struggling." And it's really interesting because she later mentions that Colin Nelson feels the same way. And now I'm beginning to think that all the men and women close to her also feel some type of way. Like, I feel inferior to Jiren. She just has that kind of aura to her. But this is only the beginning. Like, I feel inferior to her, that's only the beginning. So we left the restaurant and we paid 50-50. I ain't paying for her, she ain't paying for me. We paid 50-50, though I had a drink and she didn't, so I'm technically paying less than what I should. Just $1.50 less, but I don't know. We left and she wanted to go back to USC and take the metro because she doesn't want to be late for the Universal horror night thing tonight. And then I'm like, "Really? Can we? I just started. Can we just talk a little more?" And she's like, "Sure." So we walked around. We walked a loop around Little Tokyo, and then eventually we found a nice quiet spot under a tree where there's not a lot of people. It's fucking beautiful, and it was the perfect time of day where the sun is beginning to set and everything's a little golden and everything's kind of cool, and there's children playing in the back, and it's just such a dreamy and surreal location, and it's just fucking perfect. It's the same with my confession with Leslie too. We just found a very nice quiet spot where the sky turns purple, and it's just like all these very dramatic moments happen at beautiful fucking locations in my life, and I really appreciate that. But I started talking to her about like a bit of my backstory because yes, it is about me having romantic feelings for her, but it all kind of, it's so deeply intertwined with the rest of my life, and I have to start talking about my childhood and how I was a weird kid. I liked maps and I was weird. Oh yeah, there was this weird moment when I told Jiren that I had sad phases, and it's been like that since many years ago. And Jiren's like, "Have you been tested for bipolar disorder?" And I'm like, no, and I don't think I have bipolar disorder because I don't have manic episodes. And Johnny's like, oh, but my uncle has it, so, you know, get tested. But, yeah, but, I told Jayan, like, okay, so I think it was like 10 years ago, and Jayan's like, yep, it always starts 10 years ago. And it talked about how I was kind of bullied, you know, by people like Jordana, Linda, Natalie, Jeffrey, and Cedric. And even though that felt minute because it only happened for 3 months, but that and also 2 other bullying incidents, right, become fundamental to the rest of my life. Where for years I don't have friends. For years I never had real friends and I had trust issues. And my trust issues, I started having them in teenager when I'm in Hong Kong. When I moved to Santa Monica to study, the trust issues come with me. I moved to USC, the issues continue with me. They follow me everywhere I go. And Jayan's like, yeah, I get it. And we're both kind of troubled and fucked up, but we're both very real about it at the same time. So it's not like, ooh, we're so troubled and edgy. It's like, yeah, these are fucking problems, you know? So I talked about it, and, anyways, so I have trust issues here, there, and so in USC, it's easy for me to assume that people don't like me or don't care about me. And Jayan's like, no, that's not true. I care about you. And I'm like, thank you. And then I started talking about how back in Christmas she talked a lot about to me, and I was really surprised because I didn't know if someone can talk to me that much. And then she kind of disappeared and how disappointed I was. And she was like, wow, that feels really shitty. That feels like something really hurtful. I'm sorry. And I'm like, that's okay. But she does feel a kind of regret that she just disappeared from my life. And I told her that that reaffirms my feelings that no one cares about me. So we talked again in Rush, post Rush and summer, and we had a lot of conversations, and she came to visit me in Hong Kong. And when she came to visit me, it was magical. And at that point, I think Jayan starts to realize what direction I'm going for, that I'm building this up to a confession, a romantic confession, and a sad one at that. But I talked about how it's one thing to know me, and it's another thing to visit me, as in where I'm from and where I grew up in. And it's my dream to bring someone to my home. And then we found a place to sit down, and yeah, it's kind of like my Leslie confession. Occasionally, between serious lines, I would say a quip, say a joke. I would comment on something, and she would comment on something. It's like, you know, in between serious moments is punctuated by something lighthearted. We went to this really beautiful fucking place. We just sat down there. And I continued my talk. I was like, yeah, you know, and she feels that I'm about to say something really personal. And I'm like, yeah. So, and shortly after I sat down, I realized that that is the part where I have to confess. Because she visited me in Hong Kong, and that's when my feelings for her were confirmed. And then I just told her. And that's when I found out I had feelings for you. And those few words took some courage. I had to force it out of my mouth. But it was so good that I was able to say it. When I confessed to Leslie, Leslie had to say it for me almost. I said it, but Leslie already knew it, and it took me like 15 minutes to tell her because I was so scared. But at this point, I think I just don't care that much, and I'm also more mature, so I know that it's embarrassing, but I'm gonna own up to it, and then it's not embarrassing. So I just told Jayan, I have feelings for you. And Jayan's like, oh. I think she did this facial, I can't remember clearly, but I think she did this facial expression. And I'm like, you're shocked? You're surprised? But I gave you many hints. I thought you knew. And she's like, no, I had no idea, because I was so busy with everything else. I'm like a pumpkin. I don't notice things. I don't notice social cues. But I had my suspicions. When I met Jiayun in Hong Kong, or when she met me in Hong Kong, and I gave her the tea, she was really surprised because people don't usually gift her things, apparently, which is interesting. And so she thought maybe something's up. But then that's it. She never really thought too much about it. But that sliver of suspicion came true. I do have feelings for her. And yeah. And I just continued. I talked about how she called herself a manic, demonic nightmare girl, and I can't stop thinking about her on the plane. And then how after I got to LA and I ran into her on one of the Wednesdays, and she was wearing glasses and yellow clothes, and she just turned around. I was enamored. I wanted to go back and talk to her, and I didn't. And then I ended up walking around my bedroom, like I'm doing right now, for like half an hour, because of how much I'm thinking about her. So I think she gets the gist of how obsessed I was with her, at least for a while. And then in week 3 and onwards, I began to be scared of her, and she was shocked. She was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, there's something inhuman about you because you just work and work, and you're just scary now." And then I talked about Rock and Riley's and how that's where I found out that she's dating Colin. And I didn't tell her that it's Madison who told me, but I told her that's the night I found out. And so I've been waiting for 4 weeks for this conversation. And so she was quite surprised. She thought that I wanted to speak to her because of some family issues, like my uncle died or whatever. She didn't know that I wanted to speak to her because I wanted to confess my love to her, which is kind of fucked. And she just felt really sorry. She just felt really bad. And I'm like, you don't have to apologize. She's just like, oh, that must feel really bad. Yeah. And so she told me about Colin. And then after that, I did not see this coming, right? She spent another maybe 10 or 15 or 20 minutes talking about Colin Nelson. The white twink that I hate, right? So as it turns out, their relationship isn't recent. Turns out they've been dating since January this year. And they have been talking since October last year, and they met each other since June last year because of orientation. And so in the beginning of the USC era, in the beginning of Giant's USC era, so September last year, it was boy crazy. Giant was surrounded by boys, and they're all fascinating and cool. And Giant is on a high because she has all these cool opportunities, all these people. But there's one person that stands out, and it's Colin Nelson, because he's really rich. He's the son of parents who are really rich off of a cosmetics company called ColourPop. And he's rich, and he's also an asshole. And Jiayun really likes assholes. Jiayun likes that he treats her like shit. And, kind of sad, because Leslie is like that. To some extent, Natalie is like that, or was like that. Obviously, Natalie's different now. But Jiayun really likes the idea of love being earned, because after you earn it, you feel like you deserve it. And I realize how common this is, because in some ways when I was obsessing over Jiayun, it feels like I need to earn her. I need to earn her trust so that I could deserve it, And I think if Jiayun also feels this way, and Leslie also felt that way, I think a lot of people are probably also feeling this way. Like, a lot of people are just kind of masochistic. And that's why Jiayun felt like a Nora. like relate to Honora. I feel like I'm not gonna speak about this any further because this is getting into her private matter, and I'm really grateful that she told me that as a response to me being very vulnerable to her. And so, but essentially, she just talks about how shitty Colin Nelson is. Colin Nelson is abusive, uses her, hypersexual, on and off. And then at some point, Giant just like, I can't take it anymore. If you want to continue to date me, be serious about it. So Giant dated a couple other white guys, and Giant returns to the OG white guy, Colin Nelson, and then they finally had a serious relationship. And for a few months, and then over summer it kind of broke apart again, and then now it's at an all-time low because Giant's so fed up of Colin Nelson. Throughout our very vulnerable conversation under the tree, her phone kept ringing. Her phone kept going off, and it's Colin Nelson's ringtone. And it was kind of hilarious that we're talking about Colin Nelson, and then her phone is ringing, and it's Colin trying to call her. And Colin tried to call her like 20 times. It was obsessive. It was psychotic. But yeah, that was very vulnerable, and it's also kind of ironic because I guess part of my sadness in this situation is the fact that she's already dating some other guy. But turns out that guy's an asshole, and she wants to get out of the relationship as soon as she can. But there's something kind of fucked up about it, and that is she doesn't want to break up because she just wants to use his lights for her next short film. Even though she wants to work hard enough so that she can set herself free. But she already works hard enough. I feel like if she wants to be free, she can be free. But she admitted that to me. And then after that whole thing, I was just like listening to her, and I don't think I've ever been this intimate with a girl. And I'm not saying physically intimate, I'm just thinking emotionally intimate. Because she's just looking at me. Like Giant's looking at my eyes, I'm looking at her eyes. And I'm just nodding, I'm crossing my legs, I'm just chilling. It is sad that we're both struggling with something so fundamental. Because obviously, I'm fucked. I've never dated before. I have no idea how human relationships work. I have self-esteem issues. I have trust issues. I go through existential crisis like 20 times. But she also has issues, and it's clear that she hasn't completely figured it out. She's grown. I've grown. We've both grown, but we still have room to grow. And she's consumed by desire. She told me she's a shitty person, and I thought that it's funny because I was going to say that to her. I was going to tell her I'm the shitty person because I'm negative and I'm like a worm and I'm nagging her and she's doing fine. And then she told me she's a shitty person because she's usually selfless, but she's really goal oriented. She's high achieving, and at the end of the day, she will maintain a toxic relationship if it advances her personal goals in her career. And she doesn't want it, but she kind of has to because it's in her nature. And that's such a Giant thing. And I'm kind of shocked, but more so glad that she's honest with me about it. I put out all my ugly insides in front of me, and she responds by putting out her ugly insides in front of her. And yeah, I think for a moment there I really saw her. And she talked about how her previous boyfriend, her only real relationship with this half Japanese British guy, and how he's the only person she's ever loved. And she said that, loved. But because they got so close that they begin to be brutally honest with each other to the point where it's not loving anymore. To the point where it just feels like they're working together. And that's interesting. because she talked about Octavian and how she and Octavian became super close because they're both brutally honest with each other. You know what? That work, that one sucks. That work is not good enough. But they're okay because it feels more like family. It feels more like brother-sister relationship than like lovers. You have to lie a little bit. According to Jiren, you cannot be completely honest if you're lovers. And that's very interesting. That's very Jiren. I don't know how true it is. I mean, it's not about true or false. It's about her perspective and her experience. And I eventually told her, you know, I've never told anyone this, or I don't usually tell people this, but I've never dated before. And I'm also, I think I'm on the Arrow A spectrum. And she's like, yeah, it's obvious. It's obvious that you've never dated before, and I always thought that you're Arrow Ace. You always give off that vibe. And I was like, really? And I was like, but like, I literally mentioned to you that I had a crush on this girl, Mary, you know, over summer. And she's just like, oh, maybe I forgot. But yes, I do think I'm mostly Arrow Ace, but there are exceptions, and this is one of them. And yeah. And then she also talked about how I feel like a really old person. Like I just give off old aura. Even though Darren, her other friend, by the way, like all these men around her, by the way, I feel like a lot of guys around Jiren really like Jiren romantically. And this other guy, Chris, has a crush on her, but turns out she thinks Chris is an asshole and not a good person. And then Darren's nicer, but Darren hates Colin, and Darren wants to take her out to coffee. I mean, Darren took her out to coffee on her birthday. So all of these men are just howling over her. It still seems so that way. I digress. What was I going to say? Right. Darren's older than me, but I feel older than Darren. And that's surprising because I feel like I'm the opposite. I feel like I give off 19-year-old. I give off sophomore. And I'm skinny, and my voice is soft, and I'm jumpy. But Jiren's like, no, you feel old. And I'm like, there's no way. Especially because I haven't been in a relationship. I feel immature by that standard. But Jiren thinks I'm more mature. But essentially, Jiren got a text from her friend saying, can you meet me in Rock and Riley's in 3 minutes? Which is like, what the fuck? We're at Little Tokyo. So Jiren immediately called an Uber, and I'm prepared to just say goodbye to her, and then I take the metro home. But she's like, no, get in. No, she's like, yeah, the Uber driver is gonna be like fed up of us. And I'm like, what? You want me to come along with you? And she's like, yeah, why not? And I'm like, sure, I'll pay you back. So we hopped onto an Uber, and we went back. It was like $14 for me, for each. And on the car, we didn't say that much. Before we walked into the car, Jiren was like, I don't know how this makes you feel, but if you had met me earlier, things probably would have gone differently. And I was like, really? And I guess it implies that maybe in some universe where, you know, Jiren and Colin Nelson doesn't work out, and maybe in early October, September last year, if I've met Jiren then, maybe I would be with her in a parallel universe. And then the even bigger and stronger, and I guess the most hard-hitting bomb, it was so minute and I didn't think much of it, was the night we had in Hong Kong. She felt some things for me for a moment, for maybe a day. She felt something for me. And I, despite my trust issues, I trust her. I do think she's honest. I do think she meant that she did have some feelings for me, just for a moment. But then the next day she moved on, unfortunately, because she has 10,000 other things to deal with. And you know what? I get it. That's Giant for you. That's how she operates. But I'm glad to hear that because I feel like I'm a worm. I'm skinny. My voice is soft. I'm dumb. I'm not that experienced. But no, you're a very cool person, you know? I told her that I think she's a cool person, and she's surprised. She's like, really? Because I don't think I'm cool. I'm a mess. And I'm like, no, that's not true. But that was kind of a truth bomb. I don't know how to react to that, but like just for a split second, she felt something for me. If someone as accomplished and stylish and interesting as Jiren felt a little something for me just for a split second, that's more than anything anyone has ever felt for me. And yeah, just that's holy shit. So we returned to the village, and I also told Jiren about, like, you know, the day I saw her in Hong Kong and how she's wearing a beige tank top and a yellow skirt and her hair brushing by the air in the train. She's like, bro, why are you saying this to me on the day I'm arguing with my boyfriend? And then I mentioned to her how when she left me at the dessert restaurant, and she went into the Uber car and her face was obscured by the glass, by the car window. There's a little rain and there's neon lights reflected on her. I was like, fuck me, fuck. Because it's sad, it's romantic, it's dreamy, it's crushing, it's depressing, it's beautiful, it's poetic, it's just 10 things. But all I can say is fuck, because I don't know what to say to that imagery. And then she played with my hair a little bit. Again, a parallel with my confession to Leslie and her. And I told her I'm prepared for the worst. I told her I'm prepared for, you know, for her to never speak to me again. And I was even planning to, like, say some real depressing world-ending shit to her. But I just couldn't. I'm just gonna have to be real. And she's like, you know, I'm glad we had this conversation. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And she said she just wants to make people feel safe around her. And I'm like, no, I felt safe. Surprisingly, I was okay throughout the entire conversation. And then we returned to the village, and then we walked to the center. So Jiren ultimately decided to not go to Universal Studios tonight, and she let her ticket to another person. Meanwhile, she has to get home and deal with the situation with Colin Nelson. And yeah. So I'm like, well, good luck. And then I decided to walk back home. I also ran into Anya. Anya saw me and Jiren walking in the village. Anya must be confused because last time she ran into me in the village, I was with another girl, Audrey. So she probably thinks like, ooh, Enoch is like, why is he with all these girls? But I've never fucking dated. And then we left, we parted ways. And she's just like, see you? And I'm like, yeah, see you. I don't know if I'll see her again, but okay. She's like, well, if you still want a PD for my short film, go ahead. If you don't, just delete the email. Honestly, I don't know, because I don't feel hurt by this conversation. I'm glad I had this conversation with her. I don't feel hurt about it. And I just find it really interesting. Jiren very earlier, she talked about how she dated 2 other guys also in Little Tokyo, and how one of them turns out to be racist, but like had these weird stereotypes about Asians, and then was like, oh, you're like a goth girl, can you be my goth girl? And I find it very funny that people think Jiren is a goth girl. I guess I could see that though, because Jiren wears clothes like Nana Ozaki, and she's kind of fucked up and suicidal, so I guess, yeah, she is kind of like an emo goth person. But when I spoke with Jiren today, she's just a real fucking human being. Like, forget about her physical appearance, not even her persona that she comes off. today when I spoke with Giant, it's just a very real person with very real struggles who is also struggling with something. Despite having dated so many people, Giant is still trying to figure out what love is for her and what desire is. Because that thing with Colin Nelson, despite the fact that they've been dating since January, all the way since January, it wasn't real love. It was transactional, and, you know, he was abusive. And, Giant doesn't know if love is just transaction or if it's something else. I'm still figuring things out in my life. She's still figuring things out in her life. And we just cross paths, you know. And I walk home and I don't know. And it's been a few hours and I just haven't done anything. I don't think I can do anything. Yeah. I'm just really happy that it went down this way. It's the most respectful, most peaceful way it could go down. And another thing is, I'm happy that I expect nothing after this. She's probably gonna be gone. I don't expect her to like me more. I don't expect her to hate me more. Even if she does, it doesn't matter. This is beyond love and hate, you know? I feel like I really shared my struggles, and she really shared her struggles, and we're both in our own little stories, you know? And we're both fundamentally and philosophically struggling, and we both have our own path to follow. So it doesn't even matter if she likes me more after this conversation or less, or if I like her more again. It doesn't matter. She asked me if I still have feelings for her, and I was like, well, it's diminishing. It's still there, but it's diminishing. And she's like, good. And then she said, you know, you like me at a very bad time, like a catastrophically bad time. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, there was another moment during lunch where she asked me to describe her, and I started describing Louise Elizabeth Vigée, the painter. And at first she was like, wow, this is really accurate. And then I told her it's actually a real person, and she's like, what? And then she told me that's crazy coincidence because I'm actually writing a feature script about a French painter, like in the early World Wars. And then I talked about my 480 script, which is also like related to French paintings. And it's all like it's like I'm not dating Jayan or anything, but like I feel like I know her a little too well, and now she knows me a little too well, which is nice, but then also it's not gonna go anywhere. And I think that's the best thing. The best possible outcome is nothing. Same with people like Natalie, even though I've never really been obsessed with Natalie, but I have nothing with Natalie right now. No love, no hate, no fear, nothing. If I come back to Hong Kong, we meet up, talk, have a nice meal, and then we disappear for a few years, and then we come back. And it's nice, it's whatever. I just like that she exists, and I'm glad she's doing well, and she's probably glad that I'm doing well. And that's it. It's really simple, and there's no anticipation for anything. And I think that's the best possible relationship with anyone. Yeah, so anyways, there's that. Oof. Yeah, I don't know how I feel. Relieved a little bit. Cathartic a little bit. It's interesting because part of me was thinking I'm probably not even going to say it to her, but I said it all today. I said it all. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it. Yeah.